Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Richardson, and today I want to talk to you about helping those that are in need, and if we have a moral obligation to do so. So why did I pick this issue to talk to you about today? Well, I know what it's like to be on that other side, to be that person that's in need. Me and my family at one point in time had been homeless. So the main things that I really want to talk to you about today are homelessness rates in America, discussing my personal experience with being homeless and how it affected me and my family, government ineffectiveness in dealing with this issue, finally the difference between secular and religious motives to help those in need, and lastly, different organizations that can help with this issue. So for homelessness rates in America, the current rate, according to the Census Bureau, is 17.7 out of every 100,000 people, with current estimates of the U.S. population being 324 million people. That's approximately 57,000 people that are currently homeless in America. Now that number not only consists of men and women, but also of children. A lot of these numbers represent families that might not be predicted in the census. Now, why is this an issue for all of us? Well, what makes a society great? One of the main schools of thought of what makes a society great is how it affects its weakest and its poorest citizens, to bring them up to a level of equality. Now, how I understand this issue is from myself at one point in time being homeless. When I was in middle school, my family and I dealt with this struggle, and it affected us in a lot of different ways. We could tell when people would judge us, and a lot of the times it was actually members of our own church that judged us. A lot of the leaders of our church refused to help us because they felt that even coming in contact with us, in the form of even shaking my father's hand, would transfer our luck over to them. Now, this is a stigma that we just can't have. And not necessarily is this only an issue for Americans, but it's an issue as humans, to help those that are in need. And I understood when being homeless, people judging us, people being able to see us and try to avoid eye contact, treating us as lesser people. And while we might not think that they see us trying to avoid eye contact or things like that, they do. It's noticed, and it hurts more than refusing to help. Now, why should we take this issue upon us rather than allowing the government to do it? Now, we all know, even making a trip to the DMV or the DPS, that the government is rather ineffective. And so it is our responsibility as people to help those that need it. If you know how to swim and you see a child drowning, are you going to wait for a lifeguard, or are you going to attempt to save that child? While this is a rather stretch of the thought, it applies. Would we wait for the government to help everyone in need, or because we have the means to be able to help them, should we not help them ourselves? Now, a man named Immanuel Kant, who is an Enlightenment thinker, described that moral law should not be based on a deity, but based within man himself. He also taught that it is imperative that man is not necessarily just a means to an end, but the end himself. That we should not wait for our government to take care of our issues, but that we should be the end of those issues ourselves. that we should come together as a society or within ourselves individually to end the issues that plague us as humankind. Now, going to the religious aspect, we know from Mosiah chapter 4, verse 19, it says, "For behold, are we not all beggars? Do we not all depend upon the same being, even God? For all the substance which we have, for both food and raiment, and for gold and for silver, and for all the riches we have of every kind." Now, in this, we know that all of us are equal, that there's not a single person that we do not know. We know that from the premortal existence that we all know each other, that we should be motivated to help those because we are all family. Now, as he continues to describe that in verse 24, "And again I say unto the poor, ye who have not and yet have sufficient, that ye remain from day to day, I mean all you who deny the beggar because ye have not, I would that ye say in your hearts that I give not because I have not, but if I had, I would give." Now, he describes perfectly the religious reasons why to donate. That we are all beggars, we are all equal. But if we don't have the means to donate, that we should wish that we had those. That we continue to try to help those, to bring our society up as a unit. Now, as Elder Holland said in his speech, "Are we not all beggars?" in October 2014, he warned against that he didn't want to promote social programs to just help those without them helping themselves. That it is imperative that we help within ourselves. And he said, "But I know that God knows, and he will help you and guide you in compassionate acts of discipleship if you are conscientiously wanting and praying and looking for ways to keep a commandment he has given us again and again." Now, it is imperative that we help those who can't help themselves. But we also, those that can help themselves, we give them the means to help themselves. It doesn't teach anybody to do things for them. But if we give to allow them to have the means to get a step up, it will benefit all of us as a society. That we know that welfare programs and all these issues, while they benefit society, they also tap into the budget. And that is our ability to help everyone build themselves up, that as we all prosper, we make a prosperous nation, and the cycle will continue. Now, while I know there is the fear that in donating to people directly, that some will use it on sins of the flesh. There are many organizations that will help those, and as Elder Holland said, that not necessarily making those social programs, but that we can help those receive the tools to help themselves. Now, two of my favorite ones that I've seen is there's a website called greatnonprofits.org, and it will notify you of nonprofit organizations in your area that will help around your area. Another one that I noticed was feedingamerica.org, and that helps children mostly receive the food that they need, helps with supplying food banks, because no one should starve, especially in this day and age, that we should be able to give to help those that need to receive and allow them to impact the society as a whole. And so we have discussed homelessness rates in America and how it affects everyone. My personal experience, government ineffectiveness on handling this issue, and why it should be our issue rather than the government's. The difference between secular and religious reasons to help with this issue, and different organizations that will be able to help.